And after I've stopped that recording and I've started this one immediately afterwards, because I immediately went into started talking to myself, self-reflecting on what had been experienced, how I felt about what was said, especially the last bit, then I feel like I am embodying more of him. And it's exciting. It makes me feel like I can do something, that actually something will happen, that this will somehow take place. I'm not running around trying to find the internet access I need, the speed to be able to upload all of this and start rushing and throwing them out there and going, there you go. All right, here we go. Let's get on with it. Let's do this. No. It somehow can't come out like that. If it did, it would be too much, and it would be collapse. It would collapse under its own weight. It would require explanations and other things to stop the reaction that isn't helping. It would be silly to offer this only to have it rejected because it wasn't understood, because there was just too much to take in. It just seemed too much. I thought when I first recorded, I would only have maybe one or two. I wouldn't have necessarily much, but I would just release one. I would just upload that one as an introduction. See what that produced. Probably hardly anybody would listen to that, because it was sort of maybe not like this at all. I almost can't remember, but what I would have been talking about, how I would have been, should seem, when if you look at it now, the forerunner of this, but yet not this. I've needed more time to get to this. I've needed more practice to get to this, to be able to feel it and channel it and open to it, and it be closer to me and more within me. But you must remember, it isn't me, it isn't the little me. It's very important that I say that. I'm not presenting myself as anything. It comes through me, and that creates this. And without that, it wouldn't be anything. It wouldn't seem like much. It wouldn't be recognized. It would be ineffective. I can't do this on my own. I'm limited by what my little mind can imagine. Whereas the greater, the higher, has it all, and it's just coming through in a way that's it's not done before, at least in a way that has not been put out there before, ready to stand by it. And doing it like this still seems to give me a barrier, that it's not the same as spontaneously saying these things to somebody in a moment who wasn't expecting to hear it, and still I get to say it. It's great. It's a wonderful feeling, and then one person has heard, and they can't tell me, they don't understand it like I do. And in having said it like that, I really understand it now. Sometimes I've gone away and I've written it down, but the momentum to sort of keep it going isn't there. So to put these on YouTube and assuming people listen to them, that it isn't at least initially strange enough or weird enough, or this guy is nuts and you've got to hear this guy, eventually, because they listen, there is enough truth, even if some of the things seem impossible impossible to accept, that they can't go there, so they have to reject it in order to just keep a feeling of sanity. And I get that. You don't have to go there. You don't have to imagine what this is. I'm not. Just recognize what it is you see. Allow for that to be the possibility of what it is. Just allow for its possibility, and then leave room for it. That's all that's required. Just leave room for it. That we all have a right to be here. We all have our own perspective and space. I'm not forcing anyone to do anything that they don't want to do. I'm not saying that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm not saying anything at all like that. All I'm saying is that things need to be different. Things are going to be different. Things are different already. And you need to know why. You need to be a part of it, just as we're all a part of it, because no one is going to be left behind ultimately. We're all one thing. So it's not that those who figure it out go, see ya, we're off to the good place. We're all doing this together, and we're all going on the journey. Some of us are a little further ahead, you might say. Some of us have sort of woken up or understood or realized more. But that doesn't make us better. It just means that we've had opportunities or time to do that. The ability and the help, because we're sort of equipped for that task. Whereas actually we still needed to be supported by those who weren't doing that, but yet were doing other things. They're still just as important as everyone else is. No one is forgotten. No one is left out. We're all one thing, except for him. No. That's the beauty of the idea of one thing. There's no debate about what it means. I know sometimes, and I've caught it a couple of times in the recordings, I say something that I think that's not right. I mean, it's only a trivial thing. A name or a date or a time or a word that I feel, oh, that shouldn't have been there. I would swap that out and pop in a better word. I once said mid-morning day when I meant to say a mid-morning week, an ordinary mid-morning in the week. I said it, you probably have noticed it, but these things almost are insignificant, but to me stand out because in that moment, for whatever reason, that's what came out. Some sort of slight glitch occurred. It doesn't happen often, and it never happens in the true truths. Even if there's a slip of the tongue or just it's corrected at that time. There's never something that is left, that is there, that isn't picked up on, that matters, that really matters. That's not in an issue. But it's important for me to feel like the whole way through, and I guess sometimes if it becomes more of that energy comes through, more of that expression comes through, and I speak faster, there's more chance that something could just slip in there. And yet to speak slower, which I also prefer because there's more time, and there are gaps, so you can listen to those as well as you're feeling what it is you've already taken in. You don't have to think about it. There's no need to think thoughts. You already have those thoughts by way of input. You've been open and it's gone straight in. Now it'll be assimilated and you will bring things up that you wish to own as your own. That's how it becomes part of who you are. It's not a teaching. You're not just following the ideas that I say. But also, if I talk slowly, it takes longer. I say less. Perhaps that's better. I mean, there'll come a point, and we may have already come close to it, while there are other things I could say, other points about my life that you would find interesting as it connects the dots in a very clear way. Eventually, all those things have been said. Everything that could be said has been said, and if I haven't said it, it isn't needed. That what's left is the silence, is just the simple connection, the peace. That there's time to walk and time to enjoy being outside in nature, watching a sunset, sitting by the ocean, listening to the surf break on the stones. Being able to join others who are also moving slowly, and for a little while share something, sit by the fire, eat, break a little bread. There's one place in particular that I've been to several times, many years ago, that one can walk about without having to seek shelter, that it's warm enough. But it's also holy enough that there are people who even walk around naked, who are seen as holy men, and people who have nothing, the ascetics, just a loincloth and a cup. And people put things in it, sometimes rice, sometimes coins. And they have chosen a life of abstinence, of little, understanding how freeing not having the weight of material responsibility is. I've experienced that, and I understand the value, and yet also understand the value in using tools, and having tools, and using them well, and using them to be able to make better tools, and making things more efficient and easier, finding the best balance of that. So I don't lean one way or the other. I don't have to have it where sort of always hippie-like and new agey. In fact, for the majority of my time amongst those kind of groups, I haven't felt like I wanted to be there very long. Sometimes it's nice to be amongst the bikers. Real people, real working men, real salts of the earth, even the criminal world. And there are some people, there are criminals who have integrity. They do their thing, they figure out what it is that they do, but there are other things that they wouldn't do. They don't hurt people. It's not that they are moralless. I have found in my time, those people who are living a criminal life, for whatever reason, the circumstances, etc., often can be, they were born into it, they're just surrounded by it, grew up with it, and they had incredibly big hearts and really were able to care for the people that they called friend. Sometimes I like to be around those people. Admittedly, when I was around those people, they thought that I was somebody else entirely, who was there to become wealthier through being a career criminal. Obviously, I wasn't, and I knew that, but there was no way I could or wanted to have to tell them. They would just have to accept that I was no longer interested in being part of their world. And fortunately, because I hadn't been in it long, it was easy for me to get out of it. And not too much longer after that, I went to live in Israel. I would like to talk about that. I'll talk about that on another recording.